Oh, I don't remember what I said last time.
That's totally
My name is Helen. I'm a sophomore here at the college, studying computer science and English and living in Pforzheimer House. I grew up in a military family, so I don't like to say I'm from anywhere in particular, but I most recently lived in Denver, Colorado. And today we're going to be taking a tour of my room, the common room / my roommate's room, and other cool parts of FOHO. So the three of us have connected singles, which is sort of like a suite, except that all of us have doors in from the hallway and then doors connecting the three rooms. This tends to be pretty standard housing in terms of everyone gets their own room. Maybe someone's sleeping in the common room because you don't have like an extra room and a separate common room. But the fact that everyone gets singles is pretty standard of FOHO, and I think that's something that all three of us really valued. So right now we're in my room, which is one of the outer rooms in our connected singles situation that we have. We'll start at my desk. I think we'll see very quickly that plants are a pretty big theme of my room. We have a lot of plants over here, some of my figurines and the coding ducks. I love my coding ducks. We have some of my posters from last year. I have all my posters, my Taylor Swift poster. It's very important. And it's very exciting because last year I only had Folklore and SZA's Control, but now I have Folklore and Evermore and the SZA poster, which is pretty fun. Over here we have sort of a, I guess like a vanity situation, but without the mirror. I have some jewelry. I have all these really cool shells that I've collected. I was in like very by the coast, Massachusetts in the very end of summer, and so I collected a bunch of shells and sea glass and stuff that I really love. I have another plant, which is great. I love my plants. Over here we have my bookshelf, and I've done a really good job of filling it completely and just sort of like continuing to collect books. I have some books from class, so we just read this in one of my classes, which is really fun. And I think it was cool to read. We read 2 graphic novels in that class. Over here we have my bed, and I guess the window as well. And then my stuffed animals, which is nice to bring some of my childhood to college. And then right over here, Christmas of last year, my mom bought me this pie blanket, which if you hold it up has the giant like pie symbol in white, and then around it in red are a lot of digits of pi, which is so nerdy and one of my absolute favorite things that I have in my room. So that about sums up my room. We'll be going into the common room / Faith's room next. And we'll be starting here at the couch. FOHO, this is a real couch, by the way, not 2 mattresses stacked on top of each other. And over here, we have the couch, which it does not look like a couch, but I promise it is a couch. That was still a couch, but this is a more real couch. FOHO was nice enough to give us this very real couch in the beginning of the term. And so we have this nice sort of like hangout space with Zoe's record player and that beanbag over there, and then the rug, and of course, the real couch. So exciting. We like to do like cheese and cracker nights. We've had a few of those. Zoe has an old monitor, so we watched a movie on the monitor once. And so the 3 of us, plus our last blockmate who lives down the hall, like to hang out in here. I'm really lucky to have all 4 of our blocking group, all 3 of my blockmates. And getting to hang out with them in this space has been the highlight of my year so far. Next, we're going to see the arcade because FOHO, being the best house out of all the upperclassmen houses, has an arcade, which is really cool. So we'll get to go to that next. Right now we are in FOHO's arcade. All these machines are like real arcade machines, and we get to use them for free, which is really cool. This is definitely one of the biggest parts of the FOHO propaganda that we like to push out. None of the other houses have an arcade, and so we do like to brag about this because it's such a cool space that we have. A lot of the houses have their individual spaces, so like Dunster has a squash court, for example, and Lowell has a screening room that you can reserve, but I think FOHO's arcade is probably the coolest out of all the unique spots that each of the houses have. So next we'll be seeing the Library. And here at FOHO, since it's spelled P-F Pforzheimer, that PF makes the F sound, we like to put PF in front of a lot of things. So we have faculty deans, but it's spelled PF instead of just F. And so sometimes we stick the PF in front of things that don't even have an F sound. And one of the examples of that is our library, which we'll see upstairs. So right now we're in the library. A lot of the other houses have the classic sort of like dark academia library, but I think FOHO's lighter, like with the blue walls and all these books. I think it's really beautiful in here. I like to come in here and study with my blockmates, and since it's so close to my room, it's easy to just pop down. The best thing is that in the very beginning of the term, when it was still really hot outside, this was one of the spaces that had like real air conditioning units. And so we'd come in here, cool down a little bit before going out and braving the heat again. But again, I really love this space. I think it's different compared to a lot of the other houses, and definitely different in a really, really wonderful way. Next, we'll be seeing the junior common room, which is actually just down the hall, and it's another really nice hangout space that we have here in FOHO. So right now we're in the junior common room, or the JCR. All the houses have their own JCR. A lot of them are, again, that like dark wood, dark academia vibes, but this is a lot more fun than that. We have like a pool table over here. We have these booths and like the ping pong table and that ginormous TV in the background. One of my favorite experiences in the JCR is on housing day. They shut down the freshman dining hall and everyone goes and eats in their upperclassmen dining room for the very first time. And so they had a big welcome dinner for all of us first years that had just found out we were in FOHO. And in here they had a giant ice cream party and like 1,000 tubs of ice cream and a ton of toppings. And so it was just nice to get to meet everyone who we were going to be living with for the next 3 years and see this space. One of the things is that we have a lot of movie posters in here, but they'll replace any Fs with PFs. So we have like Finding Nemo or The Godfather, which is really fun as well. Another good FOHO quirk. So that sums up the JCR. Next we'll be seeing the FOHO dining hall. So behind me we have the FOHO dining hall, and what's really cool is that it's double-decker. So on the ground floor you can get food. There are a bunch of tables down there, but on this upper floor it's a little bit quieter. So it's really nice to be able to come in here and either hide away in the little introvert top level or go downstairs and hang out with a bunch of people in that very social place. We also have what are called steins here at FOHO, and those are sort of like FOHO-led events. So last night we had a pre-Harvard Yale football game stein. They had a bunch of little like football keychains and FOHO merch, and we got they had KFC and cookies, which is sort of an odd combo, but it was a really fun event to just get to hang out with all my fellow FOHO people. Our last stop is going to be the Hastings room in Morris Terrace, which is actually just right behind us. So in this room, sort of another study spot, I would say, we have pictures of old faculty deans in here, a lot of beautiful books. It sort of mirrors the library that we have as well. And then right behind we have Morris Terrace, which overlooks the quad lawn, another great feature of the quad in general, but especially nice to have the Morris Terrace at FOHO. So right now we're standing on Morris Terrace, which is just outside of the Hastings room. And here we have the quad lawn as well, which is the center of the quad. So we have parts of Cabot around here, and then Courier's just off to the side. So the quad lawn is really the center of our home. And it's really just such a beautiful spot to study and hang out. And as the leaves are changing, it's also beautiful as well. And definitely another big part of the quad propaganda campaign. I said that weirdly, campaign. But this wraps up the video. Thank you so much for joining us on our tour of FOHO, and I hope you get quadded because you will love it.